Thank you for calling Death Before Desk Job. If you are this week's guest, please leave a message and Paul will call you back once he finishes the intro.
Hey Paul, it's Mike. I know I usually call you because I'm hounding you about some piece of art that we're working on together, but I'm actually calling you to talk for your lovely podcast, Death Before Desk Job, of which I am a very big fan of, and of which I am delighted that you have invited me on for today. This is probably the longest one of these that you've had. So
Oh man, the tape's out. Hey, this is Paul. You're listening to Death Before Desk Job, the podcast geared towards creative people who are pursuing or who would like to be pursuing their creative endeavors to their heart's content. My guest this week is Michael McManus, the man behind the band Gamblers, whose new album, Small World, is out now at record stores across the country and on gamblersmusic.com. You can find the band on Instagram and Twitter at Gamblers, baby. In addition to being the man behind Gamblers, he's also behind the band Helicopter Goes Kaboom, which is how I first got to listen to Michael and find out who he was. He also played drums with Vision Through Sound years ago, which is probably actually the very first time I met him. He played in the band Festizio. He produced a hip-hop album under the pseudonym Dom Miguel. The album was called Waiting for Carmine. And that's the first time Michael and I collaborated, I think, together on an artistic project. And that was quite an undertaking. We do talk about that a little bit, and we do hardly touch on the fact that him and I started a clothing company together called Mr. Tallboy, which is a Long Island geared apparel line that we put out some years ago. In addition, he also has a podcast alongside his brother Greg called Movies by McManus, which you can check out wherever you get your podcasts. That's Movies by McManus. And I know I probably shouldn't be promoting another podcast on my podcast, but you know what? He's a friend, and there's enough room for all of us, right? So as you may have gathered, Michael's a very busy man, and I appreciate that he took the time to talk to me this week. We go into the process of getting this record out at the scale that he did, because I think a misconception is that you can just put some songs out and eventually someone's going to find you, and you're just going to get big enough, and all of a sudden you're going to have the attention you want. And then I guess that kind of thing can happen. However, I think that is an exception, not the rule. And with Michael's experience doing this, I think he's learned what works and what doesn't. And I think that makes him a prime candidate to talk to. So we don't get so much into the song craft as we do the business. And I think that's pretty important. So hopefully this is an educational experience for those of you listening. And if you have any questions for me that you want me to pass on to Michael, email me at deathbeforedeskjob@gmail.com or visit deathbeforedeskjob.net. While you're there, you can see the show notes for this and previous episodes, as well as the shop. We got some new merch out, which is always exciting. Feel free to peep it. And we also have the links section, which is where I make recommendations for products for you to further your endeavors. This week, I'm going to talk about software that I use literally every day, the Adobe Creative Cloud. If you listen to last week's episode, I was talking to Karen about how she was using an outdated version of the software, and I told her I'm a cloud proponent. I meant it. See, you can use the old software, and that's cool, but the cloud has some great advantages. For one, it's always updating, so there's never any need to buy new software. You have access to plenty of online storage, libraries. You can use fonts.adobe.com and get some cool fonts from major typography bureaus, and they can sync directly to your computer or your web-based project. It's really too much for me to describe in this little bumper, but I'm going to highly recommend that you consider it. If you're using something dated, the improvements to your workflow may save you money and time in the long run, and actually make you money. deathbeforedeskjob.net, click the links tab, find the Adobe link, and shop through that link. You're helping the show out, and hopefully I'm helping you out. Let's see, anything else? Oh, I had a Twitter, right? It used to be my personal name, Paul Motisi. That's done. You can find Death Before Desk Job on Twitter at Death Before Desk, because job can't fit. Twitter ain't got no jobs. So follow me on Twitter, and I will, publish the show there, and I will try to learn how to use Twitter. And I feel like there's something else super important. Oh yeah, vote. Seriously, vote tomorrow. This show comes out, it's November 2nd. November 3rd is Election Day. I know voting sucks. I know going anywhere sucks. I know you may feel disillusioned and angry at this political system that we are forced to participate in. However, I cannot stress the importance of voting. Just do it. Just do it. Do your duty as a citizen. I know it's going to suck. So here, I'll make a wager. I'm going to say you're going to try to go tomorrow and the lines are going to be crazy. So pause this episode right now. Go look for a pair of headphones and just throw them in your jacket pocket. Tomorrow, when you get to the polls and there's a line, you can listen to this episode while you're online. And it's like I'm keeping you company. I know that you could probably choose better people to keep you company, but nobody else is offering. So vote tomorrow. All right. So let's get to it. I'm going to play us in with a song. This is the clip from the eponymous track, Small World. Here's my interview with Michael McManus. Hello, Michael. How are you?
Hey, Paul. How are you, man?
I'm doing good. Thank you for taking the time to talk to me tonight.
Of course. Thank you for inviting me. Much appreciated.
Of course. Like, honestly, if there was anybody I know that embodies the name of the show, it's you, because you'll go to great lengths to just make sure that your project is at the forefront and nothing gets in the way. And I always respected that about you,
Well, thanks. Yeah, I mean, I don't know why that is the case. I think about that sometimes, like, man, my life would be easier if I just was, if I just fucking was normal, but I'm not. And I feel like compelled to do these things. And, I mean, if you're going to do it, it's like, do it the right way, I suppose,
Right. Well, I don't think it makes you crazy. I just think it makes you, I think you see through the matrix a little bit, that's my personal opinion. I think we're in the same school in that respect.
Yeah. I mean, it helps to like remind yourself that you're not going to be here forever. So,
Right.
Without getting too kind of dark right out of the gate, it's like,
no, let's get weird right off. Let's do it.
Yeah. I mean, you're not going to be here forever,
Yeah.
And it's like the older you get, kind of the more you realize that, at least for me. And,
Mm-hmm.
I kind of feel like more solidified in my own personal justifications as I get older, where it's like, there's no reason to sort of compromise how you want to try to navigate this life. It obviously by no stretch does that make it easier or anything, but it's, in a way, it's kind of like I'm on the right side of my own history. If
100%.
Right.
That's beautifully said too. So often you're told when you're growing up, you have these dreams and ambitions of achieving certain things, and you're told that it's silly or that it's ambitious, because I think the general perception is that to have any success as a creative is entirely a stroke of luck.
Yeah, I feel like you just hit on something that's been coming up a lot for me, which is this whole idea, like you said, of people kind of thinking that things happen, by luck or by chance or by winning the lottery or by getting on American Idol or some dumb bullshit like that, where, there's like this fundamental lack of understanding and lack of sympathy towards the arts that like we have in society, where these same folks that are like maybe saying really, sort of maybe not intentionally, but like really offensive things to a person like you or a person like me. These same people, they have their favorite music artists. They have their favorite Netflix show. And it's kind of, this disconnect between like, yo, you consume so much art. Like you're obsessed with it almost. Like you won't stop talking about that TV show that you love,
Mm-hmm.
but yet you kind of can't like make the connection behind the scenes of like there's human beings involved in that, and they all have their own story, and they all have their own struggle and their own journey. And
Right.
I just wish that people kind of made that connection more, because I just feel like the understanding would be better all around.
I agree. It might foster more compassion for people who are pursuing the arts, and less,
Exactly.
and treating it less like a nuisance. I don't know why that exists.
Right.
Think about how right now we're in a climate where people can't really go out and consume the arts in the way they used to. And there is a great panic over that fact. And in addition, it still survives and makes its way into people's homes regardless. So,
and what does that tell you? It tells you that art is essential.
Right.
Especially in a time of great panic and great uncertainty, is, where do you find yourself running towards? You find yourself running towards, I hate to call it a distraction. I never really like when people refer to art as a distraction, but you're running to these mediums that are kind of keeping you sane while there's great uncertainty in the world. So, I mean, if that doesn't tell you all you need to know about the importance of, creative things in society, I don't know like what lesson we're going to learn if we don't learn that lesson right now. To a person like you or I, that's like, we can see that connection very clearly. I'm not so sure why it's not seen more by others, but hopefully it will be.
You're talking about a disconnect, right? You're saying that people can't see the connection between the end product that they love so much and the process and the individual that goes into making it, right?
Right.
So let's talk about that disconnect in terms of what it means to actually be the person who makes it. And maybe most people, and I do believe that we are all inherently creative people, but the people who go on to live creative lives, in air quotes, those people didn't see the disconnect, and they did run to their distractions, which is art. And the only difference between somebody who's running to the distraction of art is maybe people are taking shelter with it as opposed to like building a shelter with it. Some people want to make it because they know they can. Some people are afraid they don't know how to make or create because they're intimidated or frightened or embarrassed or whatever. And so they just consume it instead.
And I totally understand that. I mean, I don't necessarily even understand why I'm driven to go for it. Like, I don't really know why. Like, I know that I am driven to go for it, but I can't tell you what led me to being that type of person, other than, what I would say. And to your point of like, everyone's inherently creative to a degree, is that by practicing, you sort of build up confidence. And I don't just mean literally like sitting in a room practicing guitar, for instance, but, practicing sort of like every aspect of quote unquote going for it, like practicing how to reach out to people, practicing how to speak up about what you've done. It's all something that, it's not like you just wake up one day and you have this like confidence or skill that you're like, hey, like, here I am. It's something that is worked on for a long period of time, at least from my my situation, but
Right.
I don't know. And that's why sort of like childhood is so important, and having people around you that are inspiring and supportive is so important. I mean, that's kind of everything, you know, like if you have a fucked up upbringing, it might be tougher to kind of realize your potential because you're worried about survival, of course, or, you know, other, you know, I mean, that gets into a whole nother.
There is always the asterisk of privilege in the conversation, right? Because not everybody does have, you know, a beautiful upbringing that enables them, and not always having the support system that you need. So sure, that 100%. Exists.
Yeah.
But I understand what you're saying. But to that point, what was your childhood like, and in helping you foster the creativity that you use every day?
I don't know why, but for whatever reason, at a young age, I was really drawn to music. My immediate family, like meaning my parents, were not musical people. I mean, my dad sort of like briefly played in a band in the 70s, but I don't think they really got out of the garage in Far Rockaway. Like it was just, you know, one of those things. On my mother's side, my grandfather and my great grandfather and my grandfather's brother, they were all pretty serious musicians.
Really?
Yeah, they were in a band in Brooklyn, and they played Latin music, and they played places like the Palladium and stuff like that in the city.
Wow.
I mean, I have that in my sort of background, but like I don't know why I was particularly drawn to it, other than, I don't know, it just kind of was an interest of mine. And like I said, it's something that you kind of foster over the years. And luckily I did have support. I did have a family who embraced that side of me and didn't shun it. And thank God, you know, because I can genuinely say, like, with some certainty, that I don't know where I'd be without that outlet, because I don't know, man. I don't even want to know. Like, I don't know.
It saved my life on more than one occasion.
Yeah.
I'm sure you have the same sentiment.
I do. I genuinely.
So, I mean, with that said, the support of your folks getting started early on, you may not know the origins of your drive, right?
Right.
But surely you must have early memories of doing this, and and between then and now, you've gone on to do a lot of great things, you know. And I've personally known you for a long time, and to say that you were ever resting on your laurels would be a gross misstatement, because you've had a ton of musical projects, you know, going back to Festizio and Helicopter Goes Kaboom, to working as Don Miguel, the hip hop producer, right?
Yeah.
And now to Gamblers, which is this New York City rock indie sound. And I feel like that description doesn't even do it justice, because there's a lot of elements in there, and they all seem to come from this wildly eclectic backstory you have. How have you navigated that as an individual? Like, how have you been able to, like, put on different skins and traverse the worlds of hip hop, of rock, of experimental electronica, and still, you know, have your identity intact at the end?
Yeah, you know, I mean, I've definitely struggled with the identity thing. Like, I've definitely put music out that I don't feel like is the best representation of, like, my identity. But then again, I don't know what my identity is in the first place, so maybe I'm wrong. I just know that, like, I've definitely done things where I was wearing my influences a little too heavily, and, like, luckily the friend group that I grew up in, and, you know, we share a lot of those friends, is like, you know, we would kind of keep each other in check in a lot of ways. So, like, people would be like, yo, that really sounds like X, or, you know, on the other hand, they'd be really supportive when they liked something. So, you know, when you're a kid, it's like, you know, you're writing your first lyrics, you're writing your first songs. It's going to be terrible. You know, that's why it's like that practice thing comes in. And again, I don't mean practice in, like, a boring technical sense, like sitting there, like, doing schoolwork. I just mean practicing even being a person, like practicing, like, you know, you might not get, like, how to run a band until your fourth or fifth or sixth band, which is frankly what happened to me.
Right.
And then I still got it wrong and everybody quit.
so
You know?
yeah. I mean, I know there's a lot of a lot of story there. And if you stop reading the story at a certain point, it seems like a tragedy, you know, and while in some respects it's very sad, ultimately you've managed to put out this album that has been something you've been holding on to and nursing for a very long time. And it like, I know, I remember reading something you posted on Facebook, and I don't want to make you, recount the entire story if you don't want to. I can always point somebody who listens to this towards that post that you made, but it was a read because of how many forms this band and this album took before it came out just last month.
Right. And well, first of all, thanks for reading that. I was actually really self-conscious about even putting that out there, but I felt like I owed it to like whatever,
Right.
I was like, I owe this to something. I don't know who it is. I don't know what it is. Like, I just owe it to like the universe. And like, if nobody read it, I would have totally understood, because like when I'm flipping through Facebook and I see someone wrote something that's more of a paragraph, the negative thoughts that fly through my brain are the same ones that fly through everybody else's. Like,
right.
Mm-hmm. But like, I needed to reflect a little bit. And when it came to this band, Gamblers, I just had it in my head that like, this needs to be for real. Like, I need to put this album out, like either on a label or in a real way that like gets in the store. You know what I really wanted, to tell you the truth? I wanted to be in stores where it wasn't on consignment and I didn't like make them do it myself. Like, I was like, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
That was kind of like it. Like, I wanted to be like, hey, like I wrote a book and it's in Barnes and Noble. Like, so like sometimes when you just get an idea like that, you're like, okay, well, this could be 5 years, like, and it was, but I don't know. Like, I mean, like, to me, like, that makes life worth living. Like, just to be, at the risk of how dramatic that must sound, it's like, you said a moment ago that like things get really dark, and they certainly do. But the thing is, like, outside of some like true tragedy where you're like maimed or killed or something like that, or something truly horrifying happens, outside of that, like, generally speaking, it doesn't have to stay dark. Like, and I get that there's mental health and there's depression and there's things that, I'm not trying to like sugarcoat any of that shit. It's all real, 100%. Like, I'm not denying any of that. But what I am saying is, like, outside of those two very real things, generally speaking, you don't have to decide that it's like over for yourself if you don't want to. Like, you can keep going. You can be, look, man, like, my band quit. We didn't have a deal. We didn't have shit going on. The management company that we had like a verbal agreement with fell through. I had dick going on in my life, and it was, right. I put this in that post you're referring to. It's 7 a.m. I'm in a bakery on Hempstead Turnpike in Levittown, picking up a cake for a catering company that I'm working for. I'm working from 7 o'clock in the morning to 4 p.m. in the afternoon at a catering company, and then I'm delivering pizza from 5 p.m. to 10:30. I'm delivering pizza. Then I'm getting up the next day and doing the same thing. So meanwhile, I'm trying to, in my head, get a band going. So, I mean, when you talk about darkness, like, I know about darkness. Mm-hmm. But having said that, in my mind, I'm like, no, this isn't over, And I was right, and the way that you combat that is by doing more and like digging deeper in, Yeah. For me, I understand that, like, that's not for everybody, So it's like, I don't fault people for getting off the ship when it's like, hey man, like, I see the cliff. Like, what are you doing? Like, the cliff is right there. And I'm like, I don't know, man. I think we can fucking turn this thing around. Like, it's like, why would you believe me? I don't know.
Why would you believe me? Yes, exactly.
But I was right, though. That's the crazy thing.
Yeah, because that's how it works. You have to be like a certain degree of crazy to keep going in the face of the world being stacked against you. Like, right. It has to go that way, because if if it were any simpler, everyone would do it, and
Exactly.
there would be, it wouldn't be as special anymore. And it's not to say that there isn't enough room for every artist who wants to do it, but it is to say that there needs to be some sort of what's the word I'm looking for? There needs to be some sort of filter, some sort of sifter that like the good stuff gets caught in somehow or falls through or whatever, however you want to carry that analogy. But like you're talking about the cliff, something is, something will stop you from going off the cliff. Maybe, there's the glass floor or something, but you'll be okay. It's just, not everybody is really prepared to do that.
Yeah. No, for sure. And look, I'm not crying a river about like the experience. I mean, like you mentioned privilege, like you want to talk about privilege, like I'm as privileged as they come as far as like I basically, grew up with support, and then I had like a career set up for me, granted if I wanted it, which was my family's business. My family has a business. So I had a job guaranteed, when I was 17, 18, so it's like, I get it. You know what I mean? And by the way, I have like a big degree of guilt about that. Like, right. So like for anyone, because, there's always like those people in your head that like, you're not sure if they exist or not, but you're like, I hear the haters in my head, and like, like the haters in my head are like, man, you grew up soft. Like your dad's mother died. Your dad's father left the family. Your dad had 3 jobs when he was 17, and he's a real man. Like, you're some, fucking softy who grew up on Long Island, and like, you had a job handed to you when you were 17 and your family owns a business. I get all that. Believe me. Like if anyone's like, like I tell myself that shit more than anyone needs to even like know about, so like, right. I'm my biggest hater, believe me.
How does that fuel you? Does that?
I'll tell you, because because I need to justify my existence, because I feel like I didn't grow up tough. So I have to be tough, if that makes sense. Like I have to, and not that I'm as emotional as they come. Like I'm a wreck. Like if someone could, say something and I'll take it the wrong way. What did they mean? Like, but again, going back to that, like justification, like I feel like I have to work harder to sort of justify that, and it ends up actually helping me in a fucked up way,
right?
Where I'm like, it's fueling, what I need to be doing. So like, I feel like I can never just be like, things are going to work out because I don't know. It pushes me in a way.
Well, it's interesting to hear you say that, because as a friend of yours hearing you say that, it prompts me to say 2 things, which would be, one, man, you're good like you are. You don't need to work so hard. I care about you, and that's like the human friend thing to say to somebody. And at the same time, if I'm being, and I think you understand, this is like completely objective. It's like the fact that you're able to tap into that, like I almost, do I want you to stop feeling that if it means that it takes away from the thing that you love doing? That it's a really weird split up the middle there, because if that's what's driving you, if that drive to constantly be bettering yourself makes you better, as long as you can like have some sort of sense of awareness that like, hey, you're getting there, you're getting better over time.
It's funny because with this Gamblers record coming out, like I did achieve the goal that I set out as far as getting distributed, and having that moment, if I'm a novelist, that I'm in Barnes and Noble. Like we got that, and we got on Sirius XM the other day. We got a few things going on, couple of little press things. I said to my dad the other day, because my dad has become really interested in this stuff. He'll text me like, "Hey, did you see you guys got this?" I'm like, "Yes, I know." How do you know? But like, and then like, I forget what I was saying. Oh, I said to him, I was like, Dad, we were on Sirius XM. I was like, that's pretty legitimate, no? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, that's like a real thing, right? Like, I was almost like, you know, there's a sense of like, you're like, all right, but what's the catch? Like,
Mm-hmm.
you don't fully trust it. You don't fully believe it because you're so used to like not having any forms of success. So I don't know where I'm going, but I don't know what the point was.
My
but
point to
like,
you was that like it's a double-edged sword in the sense that as my friend that I care about you, but at the same time, if you're, you know, that's where I was. So
no, I appreciate it, man. Thank you. We all find our different motivations, and you know, at the end of the day, like what really motivates me is I just love making music, as simple as that. Like I've been making music now for, you know, quite a long time, like almost 20 years, and I still feel like the same way when I'm in the studio. Like I'm, you know, 31 years old. You know, I feel like I was 13 when I first recorded for the first time, which I remember like it was yesterday. It's almost 20 years ago. Like, you know, it's not a whole lot has changed. Like I still get really excited about the same things. I'm trying to direct that energy towards more of a, you know, sustainable situation, or, you know, something that you can kind of calibrate, or I don't even know. And then that gets into a whole nother thing. Like, well, why do you need it to work out? Like, why is it your ego that like needs this to be successful? Like, you're a piece of shit. Like, so it's like, you know, like you're always you're always just attacked by a million different like demons.
Well, someone's got something to say about everything, and you know, you're never going to please everybody. It's impossible. But like to that point, yeah, exactly. Why do you need it to work out? I mean, that's the truth. Like, why do I ask myself the same thing? Why do I need people to listen to this show? Why do I need people to buy my art? Why do I need that? Why can't I just be content with, like, I don't know, any of the other, you know, hundreds of opportunities I've had to have like a calm life, and then just like bottle this up, do it on the side, like, you know, I was told, you know? Why can't I do that? I have no earthly idea. All I know is that I feel better doing this and struggling than I ever did.
Exactly. That's the whole point.
Yeah.
That's the whole point. You ultimately feel better doing it this way, right? Whether it's right or wrong, for whatever reason, like, you know, like when you put your head down, you know, it feels better this way. There's something there. It's what like comedians struggle with. It's what writers, I'm sure, throughout history struggle with. But
it's all pride, but like,
yeah,
what I mean, I know they say that pride goeth before the fall, right? But like, there is a valid purpose for pride.
Yes.
What else is there? Because I mean, if you want to get existential and dark on me, because like I'm happy to have that conversation. In my personal opinion, you know, what else is there left? I mean, you have what your entire life, you live entirely with yourself. Yeah. You interact with other people, but ultimately you have to live with yourself. Other people can get out, but you have to live with yourself for starters. And then when you're gone, the only thing that's left is what you made.
Exactly.
So why not fight the good fight?
100%. Yeah. I mean, you know, it's a way of interfacing with the world while you're here, being creative and understanding yourself. But it's also, you know, leaving a legacy sounds a little like territorial and weird.
Yeah.
But, you know,
but I know exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, there's something there. I mean, shit, like, as I get older, like I mentioned, my family has a family business. Like, believe it or not, it's only in the last like few years that I've actually grown to appreciate that and been like, wow, that's actually really wild.
Yeah.
You know, like, and that's like, that goes against like so many, I don't even know what the percentage is of like, if you think about when our place opened at its current location, 1936, like what percentage of businesses that started in 1936 are still around? I mean, there's restaurants that open and close within the same year.
Yep.
A lot.
Yep.
You know, so it's like, you know, that's a point of pride, you know, but then why? Like, but why? Like, why do I care about that? Like, I don't know, but I do, you know, and as I get older, I'm like, I feel it even more. So there's something there.
Yeah, I mean, look, the fact is it's a valid feeling and you feel it. So go with it. As long as it doesn't like get in the way of your happiness, I suppose. If the two kind of work hand in hand and you're not fucking hurting anybody, then use it.
Yeah.
That's the way I look at it. But it's funny you brought up the restaurant, and I wanted to bring this up. So your family is part of a New York City institution, which is the Peter McManus Cafe in New York City, right? So as was made clear when I said the New York City restaurant in New York City. But the reason I bring it up is because that location, interestingly enough, has become a bit of a hotbed for people from television, musicians, film stars. People tend to flock to this cafe, and I'm not going to ask you to rattle off a list of names of, movies that were shot there or people who frequented it, because I mean, you can find that out pretty easily. And I can put the link to the cafe on the site or whatever, if you guys want to check it out.
Yeah.
Most definitely. So I'll put that in the show notes, but
thank you.
Yeah, of course. But the reason I bring it up is I want to know, being exposed to people from media, did that influence you at all to go and aspire to be creative? Like, did you interact with these people in any capacity that maybe made you think that you were destined for something like this?
It's funny. I've never really thought about that in terms of the bar itself, but I would say that I would have to imagine that the answer is some form of yes. At the very least, because you're seeing that these people at the end of the day are just that, people. So, the sort of myth kind of gets obliterated when you're, bringing Jason Sudeikis his third double Jack and Coke, and you're like, oh, he's just a drunk guy.
Yeah.
Or, that's just one person. He's not even remotely the person that I'd be freaked out seeing there, because I've seen a lot of people there, but definitely, I feel like definitely seeing that people are regular people. I think they go to our place for two reasons, and by the way, it's not like we're some VIP place where it's nothing but we're a working person's place, and it's very, very much a diverse working class place. But having said that, I think people go there for two reasons. A, because not to speak poorly of my own place, but it's a very common hole in the wall type of establishment, and I say that in a good way, meaning it's not some hoity-toity place. And then B, we also had the Upright Citizens Brigade was around the corner. So, we were kind of the Upright Citizens Brigade after hour spot. And if you know about UCB, they're sort of like the minor leagues for Saturday Night Live. At least they were while they were around. I think they closed the last year or two.
Right.
So we'd have a lot of people that knew the place that way. But yeah, I mean, it's funny, by the time I started going in there on a regular basis, 16, I probably started hanging out there. And then 17, I started working there. I was already doing music and working on my own projects and stuff before then.
Sure.
But I'm sure that it plays a part in some way.
Yeah, I'm sorry if that question was a leading question. I certainly wasn't trying to make it one. I was actually just genuinely curious, because
Yeah.
So if the answer is no, it's no. I was genuinely curious though, because like you said, you see these people are regular people, and if we do tend to separate people from television, from the radio, from the movies, they're not people anymore to us.
Right,
They've inhabited our worlds in such a way that it's so surreal. And I guess the veil gets kind of lifted, and you kind of see that, hey, this is just a guy doing his best. This is just somebody trying, and they're,
yeah.
And just also to bring it to this point too, you brought up earlier the fact that, you finally got on Sirius, you're talking to your dad about it. And as far as what I know about you, you're not in the Benz yet, you're a dude who's still working, and that aspect has to be shattered a little bit too, because just because you're on the radio, just because you're on television, just because whatever, not everybody who's on there has a fast track ticket. Some people are just grinding it out just as hard as everybody else.
Oh, 100%. I mean, dude, if I really am sending my resume somewhere and I want to pull out all the big guns and drop all the names and do, I can do that. But having said that, it's yeah, while I was working on like X project that's like sexy on paper, I made way more like working at a fucking like deli on Long Island or something,
Right.
you know, like it's yeah, it's funny. It's, you know, when we built this, we basically built out a team to support this album that we just put out. And the way that we always like discuss it internally is like, look, you know, and forgive the jock in me coming out for a second, but like, you know, it's like a sports team where, you know, everyone plays their part. You know, it's not like, to your point, like there's no fast track. Like, it's not like, all right, you're going to work with, you know, this publicist and they're going to get you everywhere and you're going to be set. Like, no, but press is a part of what needs to be worked on.
Right.
You're chipping away at it. It doesn't mean you're going to, okay, you got a radio promoter, they're immediately going to get you on, you know, top 40. No, it doesn't work like that. You're chipping away at it. So there is no fast track, but, you know, again, that's part of the whole, as you're practicing not just your craft, but you're practicing your craft in action. You're also practicing like the process, if that makes sense. Like you're like, all right, I'm understanding now. And I've struggled with this. I've, you know, when we did Waiting for Carmine and, you know, you were, you know, my partner in crime on the visual end of that.
That's true.
You know, shit, I'd be lying if I didn't say, like, when I was 24, 25 working on that, I thought that was going to set me up real nice.
I remember.
You know? Yeah. And, you know, that's, again, like that's partially because I was much younger. And by the way, even though it's kind of a short amount of years, like 5-6 years ago, like there's a big difference between 24 and 30 or 25 and 31, like mentally, you know?
Yes, exactly. Like
I'm literally a different person. Like it's not even fucking close. But you know, now I've practiced like making projects or, you know, making things a reality, so to speak. So your expectations are more in check, but you're also better. It's not like, all right, my expectations are in check, so I'm gonna like limit myself on what I think the outcome could be. No, that's not what it means. It means I understand that, you know, if I'm moving the ball forward 2 or 3 or 4 steps, like that's positive and that's something to build on next time. Right. So no, there's absolutely no fast track. And I mean, if there is, it's like that's like playing the lotto. I mean, yeah, sure, like you could put out a video on YouTube and it could go viral, but I mean, I don't know anyone that's happened to. Well, that's not true. I know one person.
Yes, I also know that same person. I don't know if we could talk about that person, but
I'm not sure who you're talking about.
I think I know who. Wait, I was speaking about Mr. Buchanan.
Mr. Who?
Buchanan.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No, I was talking about Heems.
Oh, okay.
Because Das Racist started with like a joke song that was uploaded and it went viral. So like it can happen. Right. But, you know, it's like, you know, like you might as well play the lottery. Like, you know, that's not a career, you know, path to take. Like, hey, I'm going to do, you know, unless you want some kind of, and I'm not saying this about Das Racist at all. I love them. Yeah. I'm saying like, if you want some kind of like cheap, like overnight thing, like I suppose you could do that. And there, you know, you could, you know, go pull some kind of stunt and go viral. But, you know, it's like as fast as those people are going to flock to you, they're going to leave you in a ditch because you brought them in on a false pretense. Like you got to bring people in for real, you know, otherwise they're not going to stick with you. They're not going to, you know, they're not going to really give a shit.
I think that sincerity will secure that you have people in your corner for the long haul.
Yes.
With that in mind, I did want to circle back on you're talking about moving the ball forward, even if it is 2 or 3 or 4 inches a day and right. What that process looks like, getting involved with these promoters. I'm sure there's somebody listening who doesn't really understand the full scope of what it is to bring an album from an idea, from nuggets, from little snippets, all the way to where it's getting, you know, stocked in record stores and played on the radio and things like that. And so I don't know if there's a way that I could ask you to do this. Could you explain in maybe vague terms what these steps look like? What does that sort of look like for you from your perspective?
It's almost less important to realize that like it did happen, but I'm answering this question more from the experience of like going through the last 5 years of what I went through. So, I started with, and I'll just give some quick background. Like I started playing in a bunch of different bands when I was a kid, had some touring experiences, had some experience putting out records, but I was never really managing the situation. Andrew and Fran from Vision Through Sound were kind of my guiding sort of like, they kind of showed me the ropes as a youngster. After that experience and I went to college, I got into hip hop production. And because I got so heavily involved in making hip hop music, I also, again, talking about practicing the process, hip hop is a very collaborative thing, especially if from the producer's side, because the whole point is to get, artists to perform vocals on your tracks, whether they're rappers, singers, what have you. Mm-hmm. And, so what ends up happening is you build up sort of a library of music, and then you start reaching out to people. And, first I was working with, both of our close buddy, Chris McGuire.
Yes.
Because he was rapping around the time that I was starting to make beats. And then you expand out beyond that, you start working with underground rappers. And then, I just kind of, again, it's all about practice. I'm building up like how to reach out to somebody, how to send somebody music, how to follow up with somebody, how to feel somebody out, how like what's a yes and what's a no. Like maybe this person said yes, but they really meant no. Like how do you decipher,
Right.
Like that type of shit. So through that experience, I kind of quickly catapulted up into getting some like pretty interesting opportunities. I mentioned Heems. I worked with him on a number of projects. We ended up getting some TV projects together that we scored. I ended up working as a session musician on a couple of like higher profile hip hop records. And then, all the while I'm still kind of this person who came up playing in bands and writing, music and, playing my own songs. So I felt like now was a good opportunity to sort of take the experience that I learned through hip hop and apply it to being in a band, meaning applying that practice of like reaching out to people, managing a situation, figuring out how to, again, move that ball forward, if you will.
I'm sorry. Can I very quickly ask a question about that?
Yeah, of course.
I feel like that, at least in the indie rock world, in the effort to make a band look cool, you need to be cool, and to be cool is to not try so hard. And that seems to be directly counterintuitive to your MO.
Well, I'll tell you some insider information that those people who are acting like they're cool, they're trying even harder.
Yeah. It's
total bullshit. Like here's the thing, right? Like it is cool not to try. It's not cool to put your ass on the line and say, I am ambitious. I'm trying to get my record in stores. Like that is not cool. And I struggled with that for a while because, you'll feel the energy of certain people around you. They'll hit you with some nefarious energy.
How so? What do you mean?
Well, just, look, if you're an ambitious person, there are certain personalities that are going to be rubbed the wrong way by that.
Right.
And I totally understand that. So that's something you have to navigate. You have to be like, okay, how I am ambitious, but I have to know that some people are going to not find that to be, like, you, to use your word, cool. You have to like want it so bad that like that almost doesn't matter. Right. Where you go like, look, like I might fall on my face. Shit, I've fell on my face a million times. Like you and I tried to do a t-shirt company.
Yes, did, Mr. Tallboy. All right.
Right. So, but again, do I regret that? Not one bit.
Nope.
Because this is what I'm talking about. You're practicing trying to bring something into life.
Right.
Going back to it's only over if you decide it's over. You know, you could get out of the darkness if you want to get out of the darkness. You have to take those missteps and you have to apply what was working and throw away what wasn't working. And that's kind of the name of the game. So to get back to like,
yes, I'm sorry.
No.
You were
because this is all important stuff. And like, this is all stuff that I deal with, you know? And again, it's like those voices in your head, how real are they? Are they not real? But
mm-hmm.
you know, when you're kind of self-reflecting, these are the things that you deal with.
Yeah.
So I had the hip hop experience and I wanted to apply it towards a band. So Gary and we met touring in Vision Through Sound, now Yankee Longstraw. We started a side project. We ended up like really liking where we were going with it musically. And I remember one day Gary just said to me straight up, because I was we were in the midst of waiting for Carmine at that point. And he goes, hey, like, you know how you're spending all this time and energy, like pushing this hip hop thing out. Like we should do that with this music. Like we should take this seriously. We should put a band together. This is coming from Gary. Like it was Gary's idea to make Gamblers a real thing. And I said to him, like, hey, you know, we're having a good time with this. Like, I think I said something to the effect of like, I'm not sure that you're going to like that version of myself. And we ended up making it a real band. We got some of our friends to play with us. We adjusted the lineup a couple of times because of, you know, different people coming in and out. And then we got into this process of, again, I've always had that vision of like, we're going to get this out on a label. We're going to get this out for real. We're going to do this. We're going to do the whole fucking thing, right? Ambitious. The problem with that is like, just because you have some experience or some success, like it doesn't mean it's going to equate to like this whole different genre where it's like, you know, with hip hop, it's like it's easier as a producer in a way because you don't have to be the star of the show. Like if you just get the music right enough and you can get someone to kind of join your track, they're going to highlight the track. But when you're on your own, it's like you're the face, you're the songwriter. There's nothing really like sexy about that for blogs to write about or for people to give a shit about. That's why it's really hard to like carve out, you know, people that care.
Right.
So, I mean, you know, it was just a process, and, you know, it was a long process, and we had more lineup changes. Eventually the guys, you know, a lot of guys quit. We had a lot of, you know, and partially this was my fault too, because I was playing this whole game of like, hey, we're going to, you know, showcase for people, and we're going to get a booking agent to work with us. We're going to get a manager, and we're going to get signed, and we're going to do all these things. And, you know, some of that turned out to be true, but I had a flawed mode of operating where I was like, we're going to get all this shit happening like behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm.
And then once we get our team in place, we're going to like strike and like come out. And, you know, people just got tired of essentially getting the runaround on that, which I didn't intentionally give them the runaround. I genuinely was having conversations, and I thought I was forging these relationships that were going to be fruitful.
Right.
You know, like when it gets to year 2.5 of that, year 3, it's, you know, again, people are like, I see the rock and we're heading towards it and I'm leaving.
Right.
Because this is not happening. And I totally understand that. You know, I've been in bands before where, you know, I stopped pursuing because I didn't see it happening. I've quit bands before. I get it.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, I, for whatever reason, felt like there was something there. And I felt like I'm not going to just kind of take my ball and go home now, because I don't know. If you take anything away from this, it's like, I don't fucking know why. I just kept, you know, I kept wanting to, I didn't want to stop. I didn't want to give up.
Right.
And I'm glad I didn't, because, you know, we finally got this record out. So if this is the last thing I do, at least I did it, you know, at least I could, you know, tell my grandkids like, hey man, like when I was your age, I fucking did this. It was crazy. Let's talk about it for an hour. Like, you know, I'll tell you I'll be there for you, and I could give you a shoulder to cry on, because I get it, man. Like,
Yeah.
or woman, you know, like.
Mm-hmm.
But it's funny because, like, once you get a taste of, like, any small type of taste of success, and you're like, hey, how can we capitalize on this? Like, what's the next thing? So
Right.
it's like, you know, for me, it's just, that's where I'm at now, where I'm like, shit, how do we do this again but better?
Right. And I'm glad that you feel that way, because I mean, for starters, the record is fantastic. And I mean, that compliment is designed to cover you and everyone who's a part of it. People who are, you know, that were in the band, that are not in the band, people who wrote on that record, people who came in to fill in gaps. I mean, honestly, it's solid through and through. And the radio play is well deserved. And I think that you were wise to not surrender so quickly. I did want to ask a little bit about when you said you had to take this time and you had to reach out to people and network with these people and feel out for a yes, feel out for a no. What is that process? Like, when you're talking about building this team of people to help you push this thing out, what are the names of the people on the field? Like, what are the people that you're looking for, and what do those people do?
Sure. So, you know, traditionally how things have worked in the music business is, you know, you have a record label, and they're responsible for distributing the record, and marketing the record. As everyone knows, that system has kind of broken down to a big degree. It still exists, and it's actually on the rebound because of the relationships that the major record labels have cut with the streaming services, which is an entire different conversation. But you know, there's a lot of companies that sort of work as you know, service agencies that perform the roles that were traditionally done by record labels. So like in our case, we worked with a company called Missing Piece Group, that they agreed to manage the campaign, the rollout and the execution of the release of the album Small World. They were also in charge of coordinating the marketing efforts. Then through them, they had a relationship with a company called Symphonic Distribution, and because we were aligned with Missing Piece Group, we were offered a distribution deal through Symphonic, who has a major distribution deal through a company called Alliance Entertainment, which puts out 50% of the world's music, like, you know, almost all of the major labels. So once we had that infrastructure, it's sort of like the way it works a lot of times is like, okay, you're affiliated with so-and-so, so that means like I can trust that I could be affiliated with you too. Mm-hmm. It's sort of almost like a domino effect. So it's kind of like the hardest kind of connection is like that first one in a sense.
Well, what would you call that first one? Like Missing Piece Group handle all these things, but what is Missing Piece Group? Like if I was looking for somebody to do this, what am I looking for?
So these companies are, well, I'll speak to them specifically. So Missing Piece Group is they're sort of a label services operation where they could basically come in and act as your record label in terms of executing what a record label does, but they don't own the music. They're sort of like a hired, or, you know, it depends what your particular agreement with them is. Mm-hmm. But, you know, you could hire them to do publicity, which is how I originally met them. I actually hired them to do publicity for an EP that we put out before the album, which we ended up taking down from the streaming services because we re-released some of the songs onto the full album. But I had hired them as just to do PR for that. And then through that, I had met some other folks at the company, and we ended up teaming up with this guy, John Hammond, who believed in the project, and he wanted to take us on as more of an expanded role. And then through that, you know, again, having that like first kind of domino, we were able to solidify a distribution deal, which got us into all these stores. And then, you know, from there, again, it's like, you know, and the reason why there's no fast track, and it's also like doesn't do you any favors to like take advantage of people or be shady is like, especially in this business, like it's all based on relationships. And that doesn't mean like, oh man, it's all who you know, like, you know, nothing else matters about then like who you know. Like that's a bunch of like bullshit excuses that like people that are fucking like, you know, bitter losers use, you know,
right.
To be honest, just to be brutally honest. But like, so that's like a load of horseshit. But what I mean by that is like, you know, I mean, it's pretty straightforward. Like if you do wrong by people, like word is going to travel.
Mm-hmm.
So because I'm affiliated with like Missing Piece Group and Symphonic Distribution, I was able to go to them internally and be like, hey, who do you guys like for PR? And they were able to point me in that direction. Who do you guys know radio promoters? And they were able to point me in that direction. So we were able to put a team together that was essentially acting and executing everything that a record label does, but our company, Gamblers LLC, retains the rights to everything.
I gotcha.
We have splits with Symphonic Distribution for digital and physical distribution, but we're essentially independent while kind of being, we're like, I don't know.
It sounds like you're under the wing of
right.
Missing
Like
Piece.
Yeah. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, and I'm sorry. I hope I'm not like extracting too much information here that you'd be uncomfortable talking about, or that.
Dude, I could talk about this shit like all day. I mean, like, you know, this is what I do, and it's like, you know, I want people to understand that, you know, I'm not special. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not nothing. As much as I talked about in the beginning of like having a support system, which is incredibly important, and we're not taking that for granted.
Mm-hmm.
But outside of that, you know, it's not like I did wave some fucking magic wand and someone like put me in a record store. It's because I busted my fucking ass for 5-6 years trying to build up to this moment.
Right.
And I'm not, and by the way, I'm not patting myself on the back. I'm just saying, like, you can do that. It is possible. You know, I have been in the darkest moments and had the most doubts you could possibly have about yourself and what you're doing with your life. And by the way, I still have all that shit. It's not like, you know, you don't get a taste of success and then everything's fucking jolly.
Right.
Like, you know, you're on to the next worry. You're on to the next, like I just said, like, how are we going to do this again, but make sure that we're not taking a step back? Like, how do we take this and even go forward? So
right.
it's never fucking ending, you know?
Yeah. I think there's this misconception about the fact that if you get to a certain point, you will be happy. And it's like, no, you better enjoy what you're doing, because all the problems scale up and all the issues and all the challenges just become relative. So it's not
exactly.
It's all relative to
dude, you're so right about that. I mean, I have like the things that I complain about in my head now, I'm like, I wish I had these complaints 2 years ago. But now I'm just like, how come there isn't more interaction on our YouTube video that has like, you know, 200,000 views? You know, oh, we're on Sirius. When are we going to get on WFUV? I keep emailing them because I saw like one of the guys from FUV wrote and he was like, I might spin Gamblers this week. I fucking nearly shit myself, you know? But meanwhile,
wow.
I'm on Sirius, you know? But because I'm like a New York person, I'm like, when are we getting FUV? And it's like, dude, like you like, you got to keep yourself in check and be like, dude, you're doing all right, man. Like, just keep fucking rolling.
It does sound like you're doing all right, man. And I guess, like, I don't know, as far as that goes, how is it going for you in terms of being content, being present, and still like being a creative person and channeling all of that right now and hitting that balance between a working artist, a working person, and just having a life and a personal connection to the thing that you're doing?
It's very important, and the way that I navigate that is I try to make sure that I'm at least giving enough attention to multiple areas. You know, for instance, while we were doing, you know, the deals that we ended up doing to bring this particular album out, I was in the studio every week with the new lineup of the band working on the next material. And, you know, part of that is like, oh, we have to, like I said, we have to capitalize. We have to make sure we're still going. But to be honest, the bigger part of that is I'm still that 13-year-old kid, and that gives me more joy than anything to be in the studio. So it's you have to be able to kind of just like, I don't know, when you're feeling too burnt out on something, like go do something else, you know. I go for a lot of walks. I go to the studio and work on new things. I'm doing a podcast with my brother that's like strictly just for fun. You know, so it's like no pressure.
Right.
We're not worried about outcomes. You know, shit like that. Like, you know, I watch a lot of Netflix, and just try to just be as sane as possible. I've been trying to be a lot healthier and stuff like that. I haven't been drinking. You know, so I mean, and I'm working, and the real thing is like I work towards this whatever you want to call it, career. It's not a career yet, but I'm working towards a career. At least I'm showing some signs of life. That's my whole thing, is like, hey man, like I'm showing some signs of life, so like I got to keep going towards this, and it also just makes me happy to keep going towards it. So that's really all you can kind of do. You know, you can't control the future, as you know.
Of course, and it would be lovely if I could. I have some things I know I would like to have happen in the next few weeks. But I was to say it's not a career is I don't know if we're talking about. I mean, if we're talking about maybe having it yield the financial reward.
Sure.
Okay, well that's fair. I see that.
And,
I see that point. But I mean, a career certainly exists beyond the direct financial gain you make. But that does sort of prompt the question. You know, I've known you this whole time, and I've always known you to be taking the jobs that made the most sense, that allowed you the time and the opportunity to do the thing that you were doing. So what jobs did you find yourself taking to allow you the ability to finance your operation? Like, what were your expenses like? How did you manage all of this? And how did you feed yourself, you know, pay your bills, do what you had to do, and still be able to take the necessary steps to push Gamblers forward?
Because I make it a priority to invest my money in when I can into what I'm doing. So in other words, like, it's not just a matter of like talking about things. It's a matter of like, I'll put my own money into it. And I always have, you know, dating back to when I was working as a waiter at my family's business. I mean, I waited tables. I was waiting tables again, even before the pandemic shut that down. I worked I drove for Lyft. I delivered pizza. I worked for a deli / catering company. I worked as a salesman for 2 different media marketing companies. What else? I worked for the job that a lot of our friends had, which was driving for a medical company.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I also had that job, if anyone doesn't know that.
Right. Before that, I worked at a call center. I mean, I don't, and I'm sure I'm forgetting 10 other ones. Like, I just, I've always had a job ever since I was a kid, outside of a couple of times where, like 2015 into 16, I was just like a severe alcoholic and I didn't work for a while. And then one other time recently with the pandemic,
right?
I've just always been of the mind of like, and again, listen, this comes into like privilege, right? And this comes into like, survival for some versus, having the ability to invest in your own thing. So that's a whole nother, thing that I struggle with. Like, boy, not only did you grow up soft, but you also like are, have the ability to finance things that you want to pursue, which mm-hmm. I don't take that lightly. Now, granted, I've made sacrifices to be able to do that.
Sure.
And but that's it. I mean, it's like, and look, if for anyone who, if you can, it does make a difference. It's not the end all be all. Like you could, it's like you can't throw money at a problem, but if you are in the position where you can try to supplement the hard work that you're doing, it's a positive. So right. I've always felt that, but it's not easy, but we all we do what we can,
Right. I got you. And I guess the question here comes into play. I'm sure at some point during all of this, where you were working one of these countless jobs that you had that were in fact just jobs, where you have
Right.
this career that you're aspiring and working towards. At some point, did you ever come into this position where you were looking at what you were doing and going, is this the career for me? Was there ever a point where you ever expressed doubt and wondered if just being a creative person was not going to work out and that you were considering going the other way?
The short answer is like, no, for whatever reason. Like, I always feel like this is what I'm doing and this is what I'm going to be doing. And, I feel you have to kind of have that. I mean, like the post that I wrote about like the sort of last 5 years of getting to the point of putting this record out that you referred to some time ago, like I can't, if you're getting to the point where you're pushing that hard, like there's something internally driving that, like, because it can't be driven by logic. It can't be driven by someone telling you to do it. It's driven by some unknown force that, unites us all as, creative individuals, that is within me for some reason, through a variety of reasons, most likely, nature and nurture, I suppose. But no, I mean, and to be honest, like, if I ever get to the point where I feel like, look, I'm going to go work for the Long Island Railroad or something,
right?
Like, I still think that, like, even if I was, in my 50s and I'm working for the railroad, I have a house out somewhere in Suffolk County or something, and I'm like, I still think I'd probably, outfit the basement to like be this green screen studio where I like do like fucked up videos. Like, I'd always be doing something. Like, I just can't. I always have. So it's, since I'm a kid, like,
yeah,
I'd make home videos. There's home videos of me when I'm like 6, like performing and like doing weird plays and shit. And then like, remember when like Jackass was a thing, like me and my neighborhood friends would film each other doing stupid shit. And like, then I would make like really shitty like music videos on a camcorder when I was like 14 and 15. Then I started playing in bands and like going, so I've always been involved in doing something,
yeah.
I don't see that happening. I don't see that not happening, like, ever. I just don't see it.
I'm glad. I mean, as long as that fire's still kicking within you, I think all is right. I don't think I'd understand a Michael McManus without it.
Same to you, man. I mean, like, that's, and it's like when you have that, you recognize that in someone else, it's almost like hey man, like, we get it,
Yeah. There is a really weird camaraderie that happens.
Yes.
And there is a divide that happens between you. And I hate to say, it's funny. You were saying normal before. And, yeah, I hate to say, I didn't want to agree with you, but like, yeah, that's 100%. There is a bit of an alienation. Not everybody is on board with it. Not everybody gets it. And having to come to that reality means you might lose some people.
Oh, you will. Yeah, you will. And I mean, that's another thing that I struggle with is like, I mean, it's sad in a way, it's like you cause you feel like, man, I'm still the kid that I thought we all were, we all talked about doing this forever. And when people, leave, it's like, shit, like, I'm not a kid. I'm in my fucking 30s. Like, what is my problem? Like, I'm the one who's fucking crazy. Like,
Is there any one thought that like occurs to you in that moment when you feel that way? Is it, do you feel that maybe you're stuck, or do you feel like, they're wrong? How does that internal monologue play out?
Well, I would never want to say someone's right or wrong because, everyone's on their own like journey, blah, 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 whatever PC answer.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's true though. It's true.
Yeah.
I'm self-deprecating that comment because that's just what I do. But I do genuinely believe that.
Yeah.
But I know what my path is, and I'm on it. And you know what it is? And I can't remember who said this, but it's like, the universe will give you signs that you're not wrong. It's like the universe gives me way too many signs that I'm not wrong. So it's like, what, and again, it's not easy. It's really fucking hard. But like, why did my record just get into stores? I'm not, it's like, shit, universe, like, what's going on? Like, you're telling me I'm not wrong, so I'm going to keep going.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, man. Well, I am super proud of you for making that all happen. I can see firsthand how much hard work went into it. I know, like, having worked in the art department of this record, it's been,
thank you very much for that.
Oh, please. You made my life easy. There was, all right. So that's actually an interesting point. I wasn't going to bring it up at all, but then I thought about it. I'm like, let's talk about it. There's the just because the album had been in existence for so long, conceptually, like the visual end of it took a very long time for us to land on. And you have a way of working with me that's uncommon. Usually I'll do something for somebody, I send it to them, I see what they say, but we tend to work together. So you and I tend to sit down in the same room and brainstorm stuff and think and work stuff out. And it is a little different. So you do have a bigger hand in the visual aspects of the record than perhaps, people may realize.
I don't know. I mean, my thing is like, I want to work with, you mentioned describing the team, so to speak, behind the scenes of like who's involved, who's doing what, missing piece group, blah, blah, blah. Like, I always want to like collaborate. I always want to work with the people that I feel like are the best in their field. So it's like, I want to go to you. I want to go, I'm not precious about like, oh, I have to control everything. Quite the opposite. I like to work with different people in their specialty because I feel like that's where like the real magic is, like where it's like meeting people with like, hey, like what do you think? Like, what do you bring to this? And it's like, it always makes the projects richer.
I mean, I'm going to go ahead and take a guess here. At some point, were you ever a little more precious about it or a little more controlling in those situations?
I think it's just about like getting it right, and like getting it right might be shit. We did 50 different things, or it might be like that first thing. It's just like, you kind of feel it when you feel like you're there. And, for this one, it's crazy what ended up happening because, and I feel part of me feels bad, but part of me doesn't, because again, it's about getting it right. Or it's like, we went through some pretty big lengths of like, we had a runner up to this that we spent quite a bit of time on.
Yeah.
And, we got somebody else involved, and, it ended up, ultimately what it ended up getting passed on by the people that were putting the record out. But I also think they made the right call, if I'm being honest, which is like, and that's, we ended up going with something really simple, which was from one of our video shoots.
Right.
But, it felt like it was the right fit. I don't know.
You're absolutely right in that it's about making it work and be the right thing for the piece. Like ultimately, you have to kind of almost put your personal preference aside and just serve the project, serve the piece. I suppose I wanted to know about your experience with relinquishing control in that, because I don't think you always were that way. I feel like that was learned. Your ability to collaborate now and learn to trust others has played into what Gamblers is and is becoming. So do you have any advice for somebody who's looking to maybe open up their world creatively a little bit?
I mean, in terms of collaboration, when it comes to like a project that you're ultimately overseeing, as long as you have, final cut, to use like a director's term, there's no danger in letting collaborations go where they're going to go. Like when I'm in the studio, if our new guys, Nick or Jimmy, has something they want to explore, yeah, go for it. I might ultimately, I have final cut when it comes to Gamblers. So it's like, I guess that's how I like to do it. Is like, I know that I have the last say, but I am certainly very open to like seeing where it can go and sort of getting out of the way of that. Like, I don't start with final say, if that makes sense.
Sure.
If you're working with people that you do trust, like Jimmy, I trust him as a guitar player. I know him as a guitar player. I know you on the art side of things. You know, whoever it is in that position, if you trust them, then most times what they're going to come up with is certainly going to enhance your project. I could not ever do any of this just on my own. That's why, like, even when the original lineup of Gamblers and the original partner in this group that I had, Gary, you know, we went our separate ways. Never for a moment was like Gamblers going to be some solo project, you know, because it's truthfully, it's not a solo project. It's a collaboration every step of the way, whether
Right.
it's on the video side, whether it's on the art side, whether it's on writing the music. I really heavily rely on my collaborators, and the band's way better for it, you know?
Yeah, I think you can hear that in the music, and I think it's
For sure.
whatever you're doing, keep doing it.
Well, thanks.
As we keep going, is there anything that you want to have happen in the next, I don't know, the next month, the next year, the next 5 years? Is there anything that you would like to achieve, or anything that, you know, you look forward to seeing develop?
I mean, I have a lot of ideas. When it comes to the band, I just don't want to go backwards. I want to continue what we've built, and I want to go beyond that. I want to, you know, we're already working on the second record. It's already written. I want the second record to come out and do better than the first one. Mm-hmm. That's what I want to do. I want live music to come back so we could start building a touring life. Other than that, I mean, I have a lot of goals. You know, I think about a lot of different things. Like, there's part of me that I've kind of like dipped my toe into the business world a couple of times, and I haven't figured that out yet. But, you know, that's something that I have an inkling towards. But I don't do things motivated by money, because I've actually tried to, and I can't, because I just don't care.
Yeah.
I know I'm like, I've even had like that moment where I'm like, I should do something for money, and then like for a few months I'm like, oh yeah, money, and then I'm like, who the fuck are you kidding, dude? Like, you don't care about money. You know you don't care about money. Right. And I truthfully, you know, I'm not motivated by that. I'm motivated by doing this shit. So
yeah. I'm glad that this is the thing that's fueling you, because I think the money will come, you know.
Right. That's you know, that's what people say. I'm hoping that's accurate. You know, I'm getting a little bit of money, like very, very, very small amounts, but it's more than zero. So hopefully that'll continue to grow. But yeah, I don't know, man. There's part of me that wants to be like, let's open a restaurant, but that'll probably never happen, especially seeing how like they get treated in the pandemic. And it's just like, it's not so good.
Yeah, I could see why that would go south real quick.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna keep doing music. Gamblers is going to be my primary project. I do plan on starting another project, which is going to be much heavier on the collaboration side, and I'm not going to be. I'm going to be like one vocalist, where I actually want to feature more different people on each track, and, you know, sort of like marrying like a Waiting for Carmine with more of a Gamblers sensibility in terms of music. Like, I want to do something that's less tied down by a specific genre. Not that Gamblers is tied down by genre, because honestly we're not. Like, especially this second album, like, it's very like business up front, like party in the back.
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely want to get another project off the ground. I'm going to continue focusing on Gamblers for a while, though. And then I started doing like a little video thing with a friend of mine, and we kind of stopped when the pandemic hit. We might go back to that. It's more of like a psychedelic, like comedic, like nonsensical music fucked up thing. Mm-hmm. Like kind of a mishmash of just things that are freaky.
I gotcha.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I just want to keep doing different shit, really. I don't have a real solid answer. I don't have a 5-year plan.
I don't think any one of us really do have 5-year plans. I think as an artist, the best you can hope for is to be better off and be happier than you were 5 years ago. And honestly, if you can get that far, you're all right.
Yeah, for sure.
That's my attitude anyway. Yeah, man, we've been going for a while on this one. I just want to know, is there anything you kind of wanted to cover that we didn't cover, or anything that you'd care to share that we didn't drum up?
I think this was great, man. Thank you so much for having me on and asking, such thought-provoking questions. I hope that people get something out of it, more than just like, hey, here's what I'm doing. It's more about like, how can we all kind of, what are we all doing in this shit, and like, I know that's what the show is about.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I love the show. It's like,
thanks, man.
It's, each episode, it's interesting to hear everyone's individual story and what they're doing, but it's more of like a rumination on like on just that force.
I know what you mean. I don't know if I would have put it so eloquently, because yeah, you're right. Everyone's got these different drives, different MO, and some people definitely float through life more. Some people definitely come through with more of a, boots on the ground type approach. Everyone's got a different angle.
Yeah.
So it is very cool to hear everyone's side. And I've been fascinated with yours because in my experience working with you, you always seemed to have a certain attitude about how seriously you take your work, and you protect it, and you want to make sure that it's being treated the way you want it to be treated and seen in the way that you want it to be seen. And I think that works for you because you're not going to stop making stuff. Like if your album is stalled because you're waiting for the opportunity on that, you're not going to just throw it into the world when it's not ready or whatever, because you want to create. You're just going to create more, which is just a testament to me that this drive, this force, it's an unlimited resource.
Yeah, it is. And that's a really important thing, like, to mention, is like, it is an unlimited resource if you water it and take care of it. It could feel like it is limited sometimes, but you have to realize it's not. And that's the whole point, is like, it's not limited. Whether you're hitting up against a wall or something fails, you fall on your face, you're embarrassed, though, like, everyone knows how much I wanted this to work out and it clearly didn't. It's like, that's okay. Like, you have an unlimited resource within you to do something else or continue on in another way. Like, it's never over unless you decide that it is. You could keep going.
Thank you, man. Thank you so much. Like, I need to hear that too, because I ran into a wall recently myself. So
it happens to me all the time, man. It's just something you gotta. Hey, sometimes you have a bad day and you need to just, try again tomorrow. And then all of a sudden you're like, hey, the sun's out. I'm drinking coffee. Like, I feel good. I don't know why. I just feel like it's going to work out. Like,
yeah.
It's like,
that optimism is required. And I feel like, especially for people like you and me who have this sort of a nihilist streak that runs through us,
right.
Sometimes it may feel as if that optimism is not real or manufactured.
Yes.
But I think you and I both figured out that even if it's not what we organically or naturally feel, it's like you have to capture it when you do experience it, even in small doses, and ride it out, because then it starts to kind of expand upon itself and it becomes more present in your life, artificial or not,
Exactly. And like, part of like the idea of practice, again, which I keep going back to, is practicing putting yourself in that position where you feel optimistic or you feel like you're taking care of your mind, and I don't mean like you have to be some fucking nutritionist yoga person. Mm-hmm. I'm just saying, like, even if you can't see it now, you'll see it in 6 months. Like, practice putting one foot in front of the other as far as learning your craft or reaching out to people or just starting something and seeing where it goes. It's all a practice, you know. Nobody's perfect, and like, you just try to build on what you can, where you can, and it's all just like connected in a way.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's like a weird, like, it's like discipline meets creativity meets like letting go.
Right.
Like, it's like
It's all tied together. And yeah, I don't always know how to navigate it myself, but I don't know, watching people like you make stuff, man, it makes it a little easier for me. So thanks for doing what you do, dude.
Yeah, same to you, man. We're all here for each other. So hopefully we all pick up on, certain things that our peers do. And, I certainly do that with you. So thank you.
Oh, man. Thanks so much. I will talk to you real soon. All right.
Sounds great, dude. Thanks a lot for having me.
Of course. Talk to you later, man.
Later.
Thanks, Michael, for stopping in and talking with me this week. I really enjoyed our conversation. Thanks, everybody, for listening. If you want to learn more about Gamblers, please go to gamblersmusic.com, and you can find Gamblers on Instagram and Twitter at GamblersBaby. I'm not just saying baby for effect. That's the name, Gamblers Baby. And yeah, please keep an eye out for what McManus is doing. Please check out the podcast him and Greg do at Movies by McManus, wherever you get your podcasts. And yeah, as I said before, vote. That's probably the most important lesson for this week. There was plenty more in that interview, and I hope you got as much out of it as I did. So, without further ado, I'm going to play one more song in its entirety on the way out. This is We're Bound to Be Together by Gamblers. Talk to you all next week.